Hey guys, welcome to Meow Club. I've been brewing some new MTG decks in Dominaria Standard and I wanted to show them off. This is Valduk, Keeper of the Flame Tribal, or Valduk Voltron, or Valduk Aggro, whatever you want to call it. This was one of my most fun cards to play at the pre-release. He's a bit janky, maybe not the most competitive or resilient deck, but it sure seems fun and I hope it is. So I'm going to be working on this deck and I'm going to be, I've thought about it a lot, what colours I was going to make it. I ended up deciding red and black was the best way to go, but I think there could be some great builds in red-blue, red-green, Grixis maybe, even red-white, or even Mardu. I think this deck may well evolve into a Mardu deck, but anyway, let's check out Valduk. He cares about auras and equipments. At the beginning of combat on your turn, for each aura and equipment attached to Valduk, create a 3/1 red elemental creature token with trample and haste. Exile them at the beginning of your next end step. So it reminds me a little bit of Chandra the Flame Caller. She used to make 2 elementals attacking, really powerful game-winning planeswalker. That's rotated out of standard now, and maybe you could call this deck 8 Valduk, because this is kind of like a backup Valduk, Champion of the Flame. Advantages: it's cheaper, it's non-legendary, it kind of has to attack, but it has trample and it gets 2/2 for each aura and equipment attached to it. So we want to stick equipments and auras on Champion of the Flame and Valduk. So I guess let's go to the boring bit first, the mana base. We have a couple of Memorial to Follies, because our Valduk's going to get killed. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 swamps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 mountains, and 2 Dragon Skull Summits. Maybe we need a couple more swamps in here actually. I'm going to look into that. Maybe more of an even split. Yeah, I think that's not enough. Yeah, okay, let's change that right now. Which is my least favourite of these artworks. I don't like that. Or that. Okay, let's put in a couple of extra swamps right now. That would be an oversight on my part. Apologies for that. There we go. So let's check out that mana split now. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 swamps. Kind of technically 9 because of the Memorial to Follies. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so we've got an even split of black and red sources now. That's much better. So let's start out the curve, I guess. This is all 1 mana stuff, so we're pretty low to the ground. Maybe we could even have less lands in the deck, but I'll experiment with that later. So we got these 1 mana equipments. We've got a Prying Blade, which makes treasure when it hits. I might run more of these, actually, I'll tell you why later. We have 4 Short Swords, which is a 1 cost and 1 equip cost, so that's about as cheap as it gets in standard. And 2 Honed Khopesh, which are the same thing with different artwork and a different name, and they give a stats boost of 1/1. Then we've got some 1 mana auras. We've got 4 Cartouche of Zeal. The creature gets 1/1 and haste, and when it enters something can't block. That's relevant. It's extra relevant because we're running Trial of Ambition, but I'll talk about that in a minute. 3 Demonic Vigors, so the creature gets 1/1, and when it dies it goes back to your hand, which is very nice with the Valduks. This is one of the main reasons I chose to run the deck in black and red colours. We can return a creature with cost 2 or less from our graveyard to the battlefield, so it's only going to be the Champion of the Flame, but that can be really powerful in the late game when we have a load of equipments out. And the second part is it gets 2/0 and haste till end of turn, which could be slightly relevant, but we're not super worried about that. 4 Champion of the Flame, which I've talked about already. One of the linchpins of our deck. We've got 4 Vicious Offering. I thought this was one of the best removals to have because we can attack with a 3/1 elemental from Valduk, and then we can sack it to give a creature -5/5 till end of turn. So the opponents are going to be loath to block our elementals because they're going away anyway. We've got 1 Fling, great with a Champion of the Flame that's got big, close out the game. 4 Trial of Ambition, so when it comes in they sack a creature, and when a cartouche enters we return it to our hand, so it's a great reusable removal spell. It also kills some hard to kill stuff like Hazaret and the Scarab God, stuff like that. Valduk, Keeper of the Flame, talked about him. 4 of, I mean, he's legendary, so we don't want to get stuck with 4 in our hand, but I think he's going to get killed a lot, and the whole deck's built around him, so it's worth running 4. 3 Garner the Blood Flame. So she gives our creatures haste, she has flash, and when she comes in, all our creatures that went to the graveyard from anywhere come back to our hand, so that's a nice trick. She's a really powerful card, not sure she's going to be super relevant in this deck, but I will test it out. And this is a bit of a weird one-off, but it's a Marionette Master. This is a backup win con from the treasure we get from Prying Blade. So if that turns out to be a good approach, I'm going to run more Prying Blades and take out a few of the short swords and Kopeshes and stuff. If I talk about Prying Blade, we have a 1-of in there at the moment. So the creature gets 1/0, and when it hits a player, it makes a treasure. Unfortunately it costs 2 to equip, which is a bit of a pain in this deck, so that's why I'm only running 1 at the moment. Yeah, that's the deck. Let me know what you think. Have you guys been brewing with Valduk? In the sideboard I've got a ton of removal, Sheevan Fire, Moment of Craving, stuff like that. Not finished sideboard yet, but I will get to it later. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think, and I will upload some gameplay footage of this deck later today. Thanks.